Cardi B blasts Trump administration over sweeping $186 billion food assistance cuts. In a candid, highly public intervention, rapper and cultural figure Cardi B has leveraged her massive platform to directly criticize the Trump administration's recent sweeping cuts to federal food assistance programs. Speaking during a passionate Twitter Spaces session over the weekend, the Bronx-born artist blasted the move, arguing that the policy part of the controversial One Big Beautiful Bill Act will disproportionately harm low-income families, students, and working Americans just as the holiday season approaches. The focal point of her criticism is the estimated $186 billion in cuts directed at the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, more commonly known as food stamps, over the next decade. Cardi B's comments have rapidly amplified the public debate around the legislation, which was signed into law earlier this year. Cardi B's direct commentary and empathy. Known for her no-holds-barred political commentary, Cardi B did not hold back. She explicitly linked the administrative actions to the struggles of everyday Americans facing an escalating cost-of-living crisis. People are complaining that they have taken away food stamps, she stated, adding a stark warning: Thanksgiving is next month, no turkey for some of y'all. The rapper expressed significant frustration and empathy, particularly for those who are currently working but are ineligible for government aid. I don't like that there's a lot of single people, there's a lot of students, there's a lot of people that are working 9 to 5, and because they're working they don't get no help from the government. I always hated that. She also shared a personal connection to the economic strain, expressing regret over asking her fans to support her new music given the current financial pressures, specifically noting the effing high and crazy rent in her hometown of the Bronx. She also took the opportunity to reflect on past warnings, reminding her audience that she had previously campaigned for a political rival in 2020 on the very basis of protecting these vital social programs. Details of the policy cuts: the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The cuts Cardi B is criticizing are embedded within the multi-trillion-dollar One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which was primarily touted by its proponents for its sweeping tax reductions for corporations and the wealthy. The food assistance cuts are achieved through a combination of measures that anti-hunger advocates warn will severely reduce benefits and eligibility. Financial reduction: the $186 billion figure represents a major rollback to the SNAP program, which currently serves over 40 million Americans. Shifting costs to states: a significant change is the provision that, for the first time, shifts some of the financial and administrative burden of the SNAP program onto state governments, forcing them to grapple with drastic cost increases or reduce their own program participation. Tighter eligibility: the legislation includes more stringent work requirements, particularly for young adults between the ages of 18 and 24, who are now highly vulnerable to losing their nutrition assistance. Estimates from the Congressional Budget Office project the bill will cause participation in SNAP to be reduced by an average of over 3 million people monthly over the next decade. Additionally, the administration has been criticized for ending other key food assistance streams, including canceling hundreds of millions of dollars in previously approved funding for the Emergency Food Assistance Program, TEFAP, which supplies food to food banks and pantries across the nation. Wider impact and political reaction: the timing of these cuts, coinciding with high national inflation and soaring grocery and housing prices, has drawn widespread condemnation from Democratic politicians, anti-hunger organizations, and food banks. Critics argue the cuts represent a massive wealth transfer from the poor and working class to the ultra-rich, forcing vulnerable families to make impossible choices between paying for groceries, rent, and medication. Food banks across the country are already struggling to cope with rising demand and rising food costs. The cuts to SNAP-related programs and the cancellation of federal food deliveries have forced some food banks to lay off staff and brace for a significant drop, potentially up to 25% in the amount of food they can distribute. The criticism intensified when, following the passage of the bill, the administration made the controversial decision to suspend the annual federal report on food insecurity, a move anti-hunger advocates argue is an effort to mask the negative impacts of the new policies. Cardi B's celebrity spotlight has now galvanized this political battle, forcing the issue of food security back into the center of the national conversation as winter approaches.